Boom. What is going on, ladies and gentlemen? What is it, Tuesday now? Yeah, happy Tuesday to you all, and welcome to another live beer review. Today we're going to be taking a look at a very, very interesting one from Taxman Brewing Company. You guys have seen me review some stuff from them in the past. They specialize in Belgian-style ales, and this one is very kind of interesting because it's a no Sparge Imperial Golden Ale that is aged in bourbon barrels, which is very, very interesting to me. Of course, if nobody knows what a Sparge is yet, so when you're making beer, your main goal is when you put the grain in there is you're trying to extract those fermentable sugars out of the grain, and then that is called your wort. Before it's called beer, it's called wort, and then when you're adding pretty much a Sparge to the beer, you're adding more water to the grain to extract even more sugars that are still in there that could be extracted. So I don't want to say it's kind of an equivalent of almost watering it down almost, but it kind of is. But this one, they didn't do a Sparge. They took their measurements for their water, for their boil, and they're letting those first runnings be what the beer is going to taste like, which I think is very, very interesting. They're not adding any more water to kind of dilute it a little bit. This is going to be a more concentrated, malty kind of flavor in a beer, which I think is going to be very, very interesting because, I don't know, when I think of heavy malted stuff, of course, I do think of Belgian-style ales, of course, with them all using specifically Belgian-style malts. There's those kind of malts definitely have some really, really nice flavors. Of course, getting some like spice notes, get a little bit of dark fruit notes coming through with some of those grains and all that stuff. I think it's just a really, really cool thing that they decided to do. Plus, having something so concentrated and malty and then kind of putting it in bourbon barrels to kind of increase booziness, along with kind of just giving those natural like woodsy, oaky flavors to kind of come in to help balance out those like clove, spice, maybe a little bit of dark fruit flavors coming through, I think is a very, very cool thing. This is one I've been looking forward to be drinking for a while now because it's a no Sparge and it's a 12.5% Imperial Golden Ale, which you don't see that often. So this is definitely something that I wouldn't consider in the realm of being sessionable. Of course, you guys know by now my threshold for a sessionable beer is around 7.5. That's where my cutoff is for something being a sessionable beer. So this one is a 12.5, and I'm expecting some nice kind of golden, almost amber kind of colors from it. I want to taste the bourbon in there, maybe having some little bit of woodsy notes in there, kind of like a smoke kind of thing, because when you burn the inside of it, I don't know. I'm really, really excited to see what this thing's all about. So let's crack this thing open and see what we get on the nose. Oh yeah, it's definitely, you're getting a boozy note. You're definitely getting some like dark fruit almost notes. This kind of reminds me of almost a smell of a barley wine, kind of. Just definitely very, very dark, robust flavors coming on the nose. Yeah, it smells absolutely fantastic. So I'm going to be drinking this out of my Riverlands Brewing Company, a little 2-up glass this afternoon. Let's see how this thing pours, because I'm not sure if it's going to be more towards the black, or if it's kind of color, if it's going to be like this nice kind of golden amber, because whenever it's a golden ale, there's a nice kind of almost golden amber color to it. So maybe with it being aged in the bourbon barrels and the kind of the scorching that's inside the barrels may give it some little extra color. So let's see. Yeah, not as much as I thought. A really, really nice golden color to it. Definitely has a little bit of a head, not too bad, but this looks absolutely delicious. Look at that. That just looks yummy. If I say so myself. Look, it has a really, really nice, almost dark amber color to it. Definitely see the reminiscence of a golden ale to there looking. Yeah, this is definitely, there's some stuff floating in there, of course, with the being no Sparge. There's definitely some grain and stuff that came along with it because they did such a big boil. So getting those flavors of the grain coming through. Yeah, this smells like it's going to be absolutely fantastic. So let's give this guy a try and see what it's all about. So cheers, everybody. Happy Tuesday. Ooh, mother of pearl. Right up front. You get smacked in the face with that boozy, bourbony kind of flavor. The sweetness of the grain and getting a little bit of like those dark fruit notes, getting those spice notes coming through. It's such a higher concentrated malt flavor that I've had in a beer, I would say, ever. It's pretty insane how this thing is kind of working right now. This is absolutely fantastic. This is definitely not for the faint of heart. I'm definitely going to say this is a very, very intense on the palate when it comes to the flavors you're getting, just because you're getting heavy amounts of malty grain flavor, just because they didn't water it down, they didn't dilute it. They're taking the best runnings that you can possibly get from when you're measuring it, to because you're measuring your runnings when you're kind of doing the sparge, or you're kind of looking at your wort just to see what your pH levels are like and all that kind of stuff, see how everything's going. So knowing that they took the most concentrated flavor of not sparging it and just making a beer out of it and then barrel aging it, I just think is a really, really cool thing that they did. So this thing packs a wallop, that's for damn sure. It's sweet, it's boozy, has nice little, like I said, dark fruit, kind of almost like plum kind of flavors coming through. Definitely getting like an allspice, maybe a clove kind of flavor coming through as well, just because those are some natural flavors that the grain kind of brings off. But holy crap, this is delicious. Absolutely delicious. Plus, I'm a really, really big fan of Belgian-style ales. So when it comes to anything I see from Taxman, I'm automatically kind of keeping an eye out for it, just because I think when it comes to breweries in the United States that specialize on Belgian-style ales, Taxman's one of the best, in my opinion. They're definitely one of the best out of there. Of course, you can Barrel of Monks down in Florida specializes in Belgian kind of style ales, but what Taxman's doing, kind of creating new styles, kind of experimenting with like modern brewing techniques, along with kind of keeping the old style of how beer is made when it comes to Belgian style ingredients, because a lot of beer originated around Belgium and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, this is absolutely fantastic. So let's look over here on Untappd and let's see what they show for us. Some similar beers to this one. Of course, with this being the bourbon barrel aged, they do have a regular no sparge Imperial Golden Ale, which that one I think comes out at a 12%, so this is a 12.5%. So they probably didn't age it that long in the bourbon barrels just to get that little half percentage. So maybe I would say maybe 2-3 months in the barrels, maybe. But I think that still added a lot of flavor to it. So let's look here and see what they show as similar beers for this guy. So we got two of them here that are from Taxman that I'm not gonna mention that much, just because if you can't get your hands on this one from Taxman, you most likely can't get your hands on the other ones. And they have the deduction on here, and then they have the maple barrel qualified. But let's look at these other ones. We got one here called Pretty Please from Thirsty Street Brewing Company, which is a Belgian blonde, 5.5%. I don't know if I would really consider this similar, because just like I said, this one's going to be really, really boozy. But it's not too boozy in my opinion. I think the sweetness of the malts is definitely balancing out a little bit. You're not really getting any hop flavor. Plus the spice notes and the dark fruit notes that come through with this one kind of get that booziness to a level to where it's almost enjoyable. It's almost like a decadent drink kind of situation. But I wouldn't really consider this Pretty Please something similar, just because it's a Belgian blonde. We got one here from Astral Brewing called Inner Demons, which is the Belgian strong with noble hops. Definitely you're going to get some Belgian style ingredients in there, and it's an 8.4, a little bit less boozy. And then that one might have a little bit more of a hop flavor, maybe have more of a floral kind of notes, spice notes. And then the last one we got here from Lorelei Brewing Company called the Crisis Blonde, which is a 5.1% ABV Belgian blonde, which I guess you could say golden ales and Belgian blondes may have similar flavors, I would say. But I'm kind of leaning towards more of this Inner Demons, just because it's a Belgian strong golden ale. You're definitely going to get those malt flavors coming through. Of course, this one's going to be a little bit more intense, just because they didn't sparge it and then they aged it in bourbon barrels. So this is definitely one of the most unique beers I've ever had in my life, just because it's so concentrated and the flavors are just slap you in the face, absolutely slap you in the face. So let's look back here on Untappd and let's see what the description of this guy is. So what it says here is, unlock the vault, our series committed to the careful, prolonged conditioning of barrel-aged ales, enjoying no sparge, a specialty ale fermented with only the first and best runnings of a 1.5-ton malt bill, which your malt bill is going to be the malts that you have for when you're brewing beer. Your malt bill is definitely going to be malt bill, grain bill, whatever you want to call it. That's pretty much the list of grains you're going to be using inside of your beer. And creating a uniquely smooth, rich, and robust malt body, complemented by farmhouse yeast esters and bourbon barrel character. Yeah, definitely getting the characteristics from the bourbon in there. I really like that they use farmhouse yeast, like yeast that you would usually use in like farmhouse ale. I think that's a really nice touch. Of course, when I think of Belgian ones, I think you would, I would say definitely ale yeast is something that you would use. But this is very, very complex and just slap you in the face flavor kind of beer. So like I said, it's a 12.5% ABV. Not sessionable at all. This is definitely, you're going to be feeling it after one. And 32 IBUs, of course there is. They did hop it. I wonder if they, I don't know how much. I'm trying to think. They probably did add hops during the boil and all that kind of stuff. There really isn't no dry hopping that happened with this guy. And with over 610 ratings on this guy, this one has an average rating of 4.13 out of 5, which with only just a little bit over 600 ratings, having that above 4 kind of average is really, really good. So we like to look here and see if there's anybody in my friends list who check this one in. Of course, since when I buy this stuff, I buy 2 cans, one for me and one for my father. My father checked this one in back in October, and he gave it a 4.25 out of 5, saying another fine bourbon barrel aged from Taxman. Yeah, definitely agree with him on that one. But let's look at the global ratings and see what other people had to say. So this guy gave it a 4.25 and saying, what the fuck? So he probably wasn't prepared for this one. This one probably had a little bit of punch in the face for him. Let's see. We got a 4.5 here. This person gave it a 2.5, purchased at Taxman Brewing Company. What else we got here? We got another 4.5. We got a 3.5. We got a 4.5 purchased off Tavor. We got a 3.75 here saying golden red color, rich and a little boozy, Belgian-y and malty. Not bad. Yeah, hits it on the head. I like it a little bit more than it not being not bad, but let's see. We got another 4.25. We got a 4.5. We got a 4. Another 4.25, 4, 4.5, 4.5. Yeah, a lot of pretty good ratings on this one. So let's actually check and see if this beer is available right now. Let's look. So qualified, Brewmaster Premium. Let's see, no Sparge Golden. Okay, the Vault. Okay, so it's part of their Vault series, but it's let me see if it shows what's on tap right now. And plus, they have multiple locations when it comes to if you're wanting to go over to Taxman over in Indiana. They have a Bargersville's location, Cityway, and Fortville. So you can go over to their restaurants. They probably have some. Looks like that this stuff is most likely on tap right now because I'm seeing purchases of this stuff at the brewery recently. So if you're over in Taxman and if you're in the area of any of those 3 locations, you may have the opportunity to pick this guy up. Or you can even get yourself on Tavor and keep an eye out from other stuff from Taxman that drops, because Taxman is definitely on there a good amount. I've had a decent amount of beers from them that show up on Tavor, so you guys heard me talk about Tavor plenty of times already. And yeah, this beer is phenomenal. I'm a really, really big fan of this one. I really love the idea of doing a no Sparge in it. It kind of gives me the idea of wanting to do a no Sparge beer, maybe having something similar to this. I don't know. Who knows? I mean, you might see something at Fibs with the no Sparge eventually down the road. We'll see. But yeah, this is fantastic. Fantastic. So, with all that being said, let's start trying to figure out what we're going to be doing for ratings on our end over on this guy. So, poured a little bit what I can in the glass, but let's look at the can art. And of course, one thing I really like to do for people that was like, what the hell is a no Sparge? They even give you the definition of a Sparge and then kind of give their description of what they said on here, of why they did it. So give their like own kind of on the can description, and then they kind of give you a step-by-step process of what goes through. So you got the grain, then it gets milled, and then it goes into the mash, and then it goes in the brew kettle for the boil, and then just kind of goes through the chillers, and then it goes in the fermenter, and then from the fermenter it goes into the barrels, and then from the barrels it goes into the bright tank where it's carbonated, and then from the bright tank it goes into the cans or in the kegs. So I really like that they gave a step-by-step process of pretty much the traveling of making beer and how beer is made. I really, really like the touch of that. Of course, you have the normal kind of Taxman kind of stuff on here when it comes to the skull and the top hat. Really, really like that touch. And it's just, yeah, the name's right there. Really like how they did the Imperial Gold Nail in like a holographic gold kind of color. Almost has that amber kind of note to it as well. But yeah, I think this can art is definitely more sophisticated. I really, really like when they did the definitions of the Sparge. I like the pictures. So yeah, this one from a fan of and somebody who makes craft beer, this is probably one of the better labels I've seen from Taxman. I really like the detail, and plus I'm a beer nerd, so seeing this on here is definitely something that's really cool. So for my scale and what my thoughts are on can art, I know it's not intricate. It doesn't really have a lot of like crazy art going on it, but just having the nerdy part of making beer on there, I'm going to give it a full 5 out of 5 for can art. I'm a really, really big fan of that. So let's see. If I got this beer in a flight at Taxman Brewing Company, if it was on tap or anything like that, would I get another one? Abso-freaking-lutely. This is a phenomenal beer. Phenomenal beer. I would get probably a couple 4-packs to bring home, and I would like to see one of these cellared a little bit, see if I can get a little bit more of the bourbon coming out of it, if it sits in a dark kind of place for a little bit. So I would love to see this something that, if somebody gets their hands on this one, to cellar it for maybe a couple more months or even a year and trying it afterwards. And I think that would even enhance the flavors even more. Plus, because this one is already a slap in the face, and I feel like if you cellared it, it would be even that much more slap in the face and just like a nice decadent treat. But that being said, what is my final rating on this guy going to be? I want to say this is a tough one because I already kind of have an idea. Like I said, the idea of a no Sparge is a fantastic idea. I love the concentrated malt flavor, having those kind of little bit of spice notes and then a little bit of like almost like plum date kind of flavors is a really, really nice touch. The bourbon, like a little bit of the bourbony flavor, a little bit of woodsiness, a little bit of oakiness coming through. Almost doesn't really give like a charcoal kind of smoky flavor, but it just kind of adds booziness and kind of just adds a little bit more depth in the flavor of it. And I think bourbon barrel aging it, I think, is a fantastic idea. I would love to know what bourbon they aged in, and just because I would like, because of course different bourbons have different flavors and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, the crazy high malty body to this one is delicious, absolutely delicious. So I think I'm gonna give this a solid 9 out of 10. If you can get your hands on this no Sparge Imperial Golden Ale, I would highly recommend it. If you're a fan of Belgian style ales, this is definitely one you want to have on your list, just because it's so complex. It's so like slap in the face when it comes to flavor. I would say this is probably the best Taxman beer I've ever had. Out of all the beers that I've had from them so far, this probably has taken the cake for being the best one. So big shout out to Taxman for coming out with this one. This one I definitely would enjoy getting my hands on again. Like I said, possibly cellaring it, having it age a little bit more. I would love to see what happens with this when you kind of let time take its toll on it. But overall, yeah, fantastic job, Taxman. You guys are doing some really, really good stuff over there. So big shout outs to them, the team over at the brewery. But other than that, yeah, I think that's pretty much what I have for you guys today. So thank you everybody in chat for hanging out. You guys are awesome. And if you haven't yet, please hit that like button. It would help me out a lot. Also, if you're new to the channel and like what you see, make sure to hit that subscribe button as well, along with that notification bell. It'll let you know whenever I go live to another review. Of course, you can follow me on all my kind of little social media platforms when it comes to everything where you can find me. You can find me on Instagram. Of course, that's where you kind of find out what I'm going to be reviewing that day. And of course, a little bit of shenanigans here and there going on at the brewery. So give me a follow on Instagram. And then, of course, you can shoot me a friend request on Untapped. You guys hear me talk about Untapped all the time. I like to call it Facebook for beer drinkers. You could check in beers, get badges, all that kind of stuff. It's a really, really fun platform. Plus, you could see people like me, Ian, Kentucky, Dutch is on there, Lee's on there, Sean and Lizzie, the Typhons, Face Meat's on there. A bunch of people that are kind of frequent show-up people when it comes to showing up in chat are on Untapped, just checking in beers and having a good time. It's a really, really fun platform. I highly recommend getting yourself over to Untapped. And if you haven't shot me a friend request yet and you're already on there, yeah, shoot me a friend request. I would love to see what other people are drinking as well. But other than that, of course, last but not least, if you want to support me another way than just come and watch my videos, I do have a Patreon available where I do monthly Illinois craft beer 4-pack giveaways per month. I just shipped out last month's 4-pack winner to Mr. Kevin K today, so you should be getting that by Thursday. But within the next day or so, I'm going to be posting what is going to be in this month's 4-pack giveaway. So if you want to get your hands on some Illinois craft beer that I picked out by me when it comes to getting the availability of this stuff out to other people that normally can't get their hands on it, yeah, join my Patreon. You can even do the lowest tier, $5 a month, and you'll have your opportunity to win. Of course, if you want to do more, you can even go up to the $20 tier, to where you'll have multiple entries in each month's raffle to get your hands on a 4-pack for me. You'd be pretty much paying for your 4-pack if you did a $20 tier. Of course, between the 10 and the 5, you still have a good opportunity to win. Plus, depending on which tier you join, you have the possibility of purchasing some stuff that I'm going to be coming out with in the future when it comes to like beer glasses, koozies, coasters, all that kinds of stuff. I'm kind of working on that stuff behind the scenes, so who knows when we'll get that stuff going. Of course, I want to do a kind of a craft beer related Discord as well, so if you want to join the Discord when that becomes available, join my Patreon. It's just, I'm going to be doing like a place where you could possibly let's see, a buy, sell, trade section in the Discord when it comes to craft beer if you want to trade beer with some other people that are in there. It's just, I'm working on a lot of stuff, so I'm hoping you guys want to join on for the ride because it should be exciting. But other than that, that is pretty much what I got for you guys today. So again, thank you everybody in chat for hanging out. You guys are awesome. And I'm going to end this like I always do before we get the hell out of here. If you're going to drink, drink responsibly. Don't drink and drive. And I'll see y'all next time. Cheers.